One bright morning, floating among the twinkling stars, Captain Nina the ginger cat was checking her star map. Her whiskers twitched. Something felt off. She pointed a furry paw at a tiny dot near the Orion route. "Zog, come look at this," she called out. Zog, a friendly alien cat with shimmering purple fur and big curious ears, floated over. "What is it, Captain?" he asked, his tail swishing like a question mark. "This little planet here," Nina explained, her green eyes focused. "It's gone silent. There's no planetary song coming from it." Zog tilted his head, his purple ears perking up. "That's very strange," he said thoughtfully. "Planets are supposed to sing. It's how they say hello to the universe. This one isn't singing at all." A silent planet was a sad planet, and Captain Nina couldn't just leave it be. "Well," she declared, puffing out her chest, "we can't have that. Zog, fire up the engines. We're going on an adventure." With a mighty roar and a flash of light, their little spaceship, the Star Pouncer, zoomed through the cosmos. "Engage hyperspeed," Nina commanded, her paws expertly maneuvering the controls. Stars blurred into long, colorful streaks as they shot across the galaxy. Zog was busy at the navigation console, his purple fur glowing in the ship's soft light. "Approaching the coordinates now, Captain," he announced. Slowing down from light speed. The streaking lights outside the window slowed, and the familiar dots of stars returned. And there it was. Before them hung a beautiful round planet. It was a lovely shade of blue, with sparkling glowing rings that looked like a celestial halo. But as they got closer, the silence was deafening. There was no hum, no vibration, no cosmic melody that every healthy planet sings. It was just quiet. "It's beautiful," Nina whispered, her face pressed against the viewport. "But it feels so lonely," Zog nodded, his big eyes wide. "Let's find a place to land. We need to figure out what happened to its voice." The Star Pouncer descended gracefully, landing in a soft mossy clearing. As the hatch hissed open, Nina and Zog stepped out. The air was fresh and sweet, but the silence was even more noticeable on the ground. Everything was moving, but without a single sound. Tall, willowy trees waved their leafy branches in the breeze, but there was no rustle. A crystal-clear river flowed nearby, its water tumbling over smooth stones, but there was no gurgle or splash. They saw strange, friendly creatures with big smiles and gentle eyes. They waved and nodded, but their greetings were completely silent. One creature, a fluffy, six-legged animal, offered them a glowing fruit, but its happy gesture was voiceless. "This is so strange," Zog said, his voice sounding unusually loud in the quiet world. "It's like watching a movie with the sound turned off." Nina walked over to a tree and touched its smooth bark. "It's more than that," she said, her expression serious. "This planet has lost its song. It's lost its joy." Determined to help, Nina and Zog decided to explore. They followed the silent river, hoping it would lead them to the heart of the planet, the source of its silence. They walked through forests where flowers bloomed in vibrant, noiseless bursts of color. They climbed gentle hills where the wind blew without a whisper. The creatures of the planet followed them curiously, their silent footsteps making no sound on the soft ground. After a long journey, they arrived at a huge, glittering cave deep inside the planet. And in the very center of the cave, they found it. It was a massive crystal bell, so large it touched the ceiling of the cavern. It shimmered with a faint inner light, but it was clear something was terribly wrong. A long, dark crack ran down its side. Zog floated closer, his purple ears drooping. "This must be it," he whispered, his voice echoing slightly in the vast space. "This is the heart of the planet. This bell is what keeps the planet humming. It's what creates a song." Nina reached out and gently touched the cracked surface. It felt cold and lifeless. "But it's broken," she said sadly. "How can we possibly fix something this big?" For a moment, they both stood in silence, feeling a little hopeless. How could a ginger cat and a purple alien fix a giant broken cosmic bell? But then, Zog's ears twitched. A little spark lit up in his eyes, and a slow smile spread across his face. "Wait a minute, Nina," he said. "Maybe we don't have to fix it alone." He turned to the crowd of silent creatures that had followed them into the cave. He looked at their hopeful, curious faces. "We have help right here," he declared. Nina looked at the creatures, then back at the bell, and she understood. She smiled back at Zog. "You're a genius," she exclaimed. They gathered all the creatures of the planet around the giant, cracked bell. There were big ones, small ones, fluffy ones, and smooth ones, all waiting silently to see what would happen. Nina took a deep breath. She explained her idea using gestures and expressions, pointing to the bell, then to her heart, and then to all of them. The creatures seemed to understand. They nodded their silent agreement. "Okay, everyone," Nia announced, her voice full of encouragement. "Let's give this a try." She gently tapped the crystal bell with her paw. A faint, lonely tink sound echoed in the cave, the first sound many of these creatures had ever heard. Their eyes went wide with wonder. Then, Zog took a deep breath and began to hum. He hummed a low, gentle, beautiful tune that filled the cave with warmth. Inspired by the sound, the creatures started to join in. Some of the bigger ones stomped their feet, creating a deep, rhythmic beat. Stomp, stomp, stomp. The smaller, fluffier ones clapped their paws together. Clap, clap, clap. Others tapped on nearby rocks or tapped their own chests, adding their own unique sounds to the mix. It started small. A tap, a hum, a clap, a stomp. But soon, the sounds began to blend together. They grew and swelled, creating a rich and complex melody. It wasn't perfect, but it was full of heart. It was a symphony of cooperation, a song made from everyone's individual contribution. As their collective song grew louder and more powerful, something magical began to happen. The giant crystal bell started to glow. The faint light inside it grew brighter and brighter, pulsing in time with their rhythm, and then they all saw it. The dark crack on the bell's surface began to shrink. The glowing light seemed to flow into the fissure, knitting the crystal back together. The creatures got even more excited. They clapped harder, stomped louder, and hummed with all their might. The light became dazzling, filling the entire cavern. With one final beautiful chord from everyone, the crack sealed completely and vanished without a trace. The crystal bell was whole again, and then it began to sing. A deep, resonant hum started to emanate from the bell, a sound so pure and beautiful it made everyone's fur tingle. The planet's song had returned, louder and brighter and more joyful than ever before. The song flowed out of the cave and across the entire planet. The world came alive with sound. The rivers, no longer silent, laughed and babbled as they flowed over the rocks. The trees rustled and whispered secrets to the wind. The sky itself seemed to chime with a happy musical energy. The creatures, who had never made a sound before, found their voices. They chattered and chirped and sang, their hearts filled with a joy they had never known. They danced and celebrated, their world finally complete. Captain Nina and Zog watched, their hearts full. They had done it. They had helped a silent planet find its song again, not by fixing it themselves, but by showing the inhabitants how to work together. As Nina and Zog boarded the Star Pouncer, the entire planet seemed to wave goodbye with music. A beautiful melody followed them as they lifted off into the sky. Back in their ship, soaring through the stars once more, Zog leaned back in his chair and sighed happily. "That," he said, "was the best song ever." Nina smiled, gazing out at the twinkling stars.